Stanford University.
Greetings, everyone, and warmest welcome. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Teja Bell, and a delight to be a part of Contemplation by Design here in this 2022 iteration. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to be with you and to talk about underlying principles of practice. And these underlying principles, of course, really inform, enhance, and in a way really empower the physical actions of the relatively simple forms of Qigong. And as we practice the integration of form and flow, the energy or the qi or the life force that we're practicing with, we're also working with the structure, with the nervous system, with the brain and the nervous system, and the whole organism of our human life. The practices of the Qigong that we're doing, I've curated over a lifetime of cross-referencing and practicing in many different systems of Qigong, of martial arts, and of meditation practices. So it's a weave of a fabric of contemplative practice, if you will. I love the word contemplation and appreciate that this endeavor, this event, is called Contemplation by Design. It is purposeful engagement in contemplation, and contemplation in its connection, its confluence with embodiment, with our Qigong practices. Very wonderful, really. It's an opportunity to understand that meditation and contemplation are not just a cognitive practice, but a whole person, a whole being practice. So as we engage in these relatively simple forms, as we integrate the principles, hopefully you will have the direct experience of what it is to settle, to align, to grounding. We're grounding our qi. That doesn't mean like rooting and not being able to move. It means a kind of settling in, so that the qualities that we talked about yesterday as we examined the principles of Qigong become not just conceptual but experiential. And that's often how I teach most of the time. I lead with experience and coming directly into practice, and then give conceptual framework, afterwards. For those of you that may have practiced or are familiar with Chinese medicine and acupuncture and so on, the connection of the acupuncture points and the so-called meridians and channels, that can be very useful to know. But it's more useful, in my view, to have a direct experience of settling, of feeling opening, feeling the characteristics of our practice in relationship to energy or qi or life force, bioelectrical energy. This way of connecting here with this is truly transformative. It's transformative on the neurological level, but also on the biochemical level. So it can be very wonderful for helping to create an embodied calmness, to work with conditions such as anxiety, not to get rid of it, but to transform it in a way to allow us to have a useful orientation to life energy and life events, situations. In that way, I find our practice of Qigong in its relationship to dharma or contemplation to be so valuable. As I said yesterday, we have an orientation in our Western culture, well, it might be all cultures, to be cognitive, to be more in the head. And where that is important, if it's only left there and not included in a whole being, we miss an important aspect of our ability to have empathetic connection, not only with one another as human beings, but with all of nature. Understanding and listening on a deeper level to the flow of life. And where that may sound a little metaphysical, it's actually very accessible and experiential. You just need to know the doorway in. And contemplation is certainly that. Different people have different preferences, different capacities according to their lines of development and intelligence. And, everyone uniquely has gifts. And we can all benefit by settling, by breathing, by just allowing the wheels of cognition to slow down for a moment, to feel more deeply. And I believe that by doing so, your thinking itself becomes that much more clear and that much more transparent. Yes, transparent in your ability to communicate, and as I said, empathetic connection. The aspects that you will often hear in the development of contemplation have to do with both wisdom and compassion. Wisdom and compassion are aspects of our practice that are really essential for a thriving humanity. And if we are to go into the future in a way that continues to evolve and develop, I think developing wisdom, empathetic connection, and compassion, not just as a concept, but as an embodied action, is so important. So today I'm going to share with you foundational practices of Qigong. And we'll practice those together, and we will apply the principles that we worked with yesterday. So, a thing or two to say as we begin these forms of practice that integrate structure and energy, frame and flow, is that the principle of letting relaxed intention is so vital. So none of these practices, because they are energy practices, require a great deal of muscular strength. Now, interestingly, strength in the way that is developed through these practices is neurobiological. You gain strength of your nervous system, of your brain, of your capacity to focus, of your capacity to hold attention in a broad and collective way. Again, those are concepts that I invite you to experience directly. As we begin the forms in just a moment, what I hope you to engage with me is to learn that principle of underdoing range of motion so you can stay more present in feeling. So our practices really allow this sense of being at home in your body, even as we are at home in the universe. So, the first part of our practice flow is going to be standing practice. So for a few moments now, we'll begin with some standing Qigong. And then we'll come to sit, we'll do some seated Dao Yin, and let that lead into a guided meditation. At the end of the guided meditation, maybe I'll take a moment or two and summarize the teaching for today as we establish these foundations for a wonderful and thriving practice that you can use and engage with according to your resonance with what we're doing. And staying with it a little bit, I hope to talk with you as I summarize then ways in which to engage in a thriving practice. So under doing range of motion, stand for a while. If you feel like you need to sit down at any time, by all means, please do that. If we're doing more repetitions than you feel comfortable doing, then just stop doing those repetitions. It's pretty simple. All right. Let's begin in a basic standing meditation practice. The standing form has been used in many, many traditions of meditation, dharma practices by any name, and certainly by the health practices in Qigong. So perhaps shoulder width, not too narrow and not too wide. You find your sweet spot here, and we let the feet be parallel. So the feet are not flayed out. You find a parallel nature there, and if you need to kind of look down at your feet for a moment to let that adjustment take place, let that begin like so. And we begin by feeling whole system with a very simple practice of flowing from side to side. And if you could feel this, it would be like the infinity sign or a figure 8 on the ground. So notice that the degree of motion that I'm practicing with here and beginning with is very, very small. The idea is begin just to drop your awareness, to presence your awareness through the feet to the bottoms of the feet. Feel that connection with the surface that you're standing on, a certain transparency with the energy of your body with the earth. Yeah, there's nothing to make up there. You just want to feel this natural connection with gravity that we have in this very simple motion that we are beginning with. Settle your mind down, let the legs be open, fluid sense of alignment. Good. Now then, as we come to relative stillness, this is not a rigid stillness. This particular practice, form of standing meditation, which we'll do throughout the course of the fluid motions, is called Wu Qi. Wu Qi. And it means empty energy. That is a way of saying that we're just being, simply being here. So relax the feet, relax the structures. The knees are not locked, but you're not bending them either. That space of the knees is open. The hips, waist is open. The shoulders are relaxed. And you feel the energetic plumb line that is in harmony with gravity flow through the core of your body. We're just going to spend a moment here, but I want to offer you some important elements of alignment that you can work with and develop gradually as you practice Wu Qi. So you soften the space of your eyes, let the peripheral vision be open, relax your jaw, and let the tongue rest naturally on the upper palate. So it's a natural presence of the tongue in your mouth. And now I want to invite you to consciously soften that space. And as you soften the tongue, perhaps you can feel how that conscious intent there, and it has a beautiful ripple through the whole body. So we stand in this relative ease, breathing naturally, natural, what's called abdominal breathing. So the breath is in and out through the nose. The breath with the in-breath naturally expands the abdominal region as the diaphragm settles downward with the in-breath and closes naturally with the exhalation. So just settle in there, and I want to invite you to feel those waves of breath, soft, slow, full, uncontrived. And as the face is relaxed, the eyes are relaxed, the tongue is relaxed, this begins to set the tone and the quality of presence in meditation, even for a brief moment here. Good. From this relative stillness of standing meditation, our Wu Qi standing meditation posture, we're going to open up into our first practice. And our first practice is called radiant body breathing. So the hands come out to the side, turn your palms up, and complete that in-breath. And then let the hands flow down the left and right channels of your body, down through the legs, connecting with the earth. Remember, we're paying attention now in the Qigong to the subtler nature. Not that we're not paying attention to structure, but we're paying attention to energy. So in-breath, and as you exhale, smooth release. And the practice here, such a way that there's no hurry, no urgency. We're not trying to somehow get it right. We're just breathing, whole body breathing. As you feel the hands come down the front part of the body, the space between your hands and the front field of the body, it's kind of soothing, smoothing out. Release the breath, and one more. Very good. As you complete that, relax and release your arms down. Take a moment just of a little inventory. Make sure you're not holding tension in your wrist, that you can soften up there. Feel the natural integrity of the stance of your body in this Wu Qi standing meditation gesture. Breathe naturally. When we return to Wu Qi after doing each of the sequences that we're about to do and have just done, you also feel the flow of the resonance of the practice. There's nothing to do about it. There's nothing you need to change. Just allow it to be exactly as it is. Now, the central channel, as it's called in many traditions, has that sense of columnness that connects from the earth into the proverbial heavens. We're going to do a practice along that central line, that central channel, and this is also a form of radiant body breathing. It begins like this. Just take one hand, doesn't matter which, in front of the other. You can change it in each cycle, and we take an in-breath as we open and lengthen. Let the hands come up and out, and exhale down. As you exhale down, relax the hips and let that natural stretch of the lower back take place. No, this is not a big dramatic stretch. It's a easy letting go. Breath in flows up. Intention is to open and clear that central channel of the body. Breath in flows up, earth connection, sky connection, through the fabric of your own body. In breath. Natural fullness, release, letting go. Settle down. You're a little more in your heels now, maybe 60%. Now, front part of the foot. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's do this one more time. Flow up, smooth. Good. Let that release. And a smooth, even, kind of conscious transition. We return to Wu Qi. In returning to this gesture of relative stillness, you're not locking into a form. You're allowing the body to make little adjustments if it needs to. As you feel through the structure of the body, you're letting go if you're holding tension in the wrists or fingers. The head has a natural sense of lift and openness. That's so good. Great. All right, just move easily in your standing meditation there for a moment. We're going to do another practice that's called three centers breathing. And three centers breathing has to do with the energetic fields that are part of the philosophy and the knowledge of Qigong practitioners and Chinese medicine. These are often called Dan Tian, but we can use the English word, and I'll use one Japanese word. So we have the field of the head, and it's not just located in the fabric of the body, but it's all around, in front and back, like a huge space, energetic space, a magnetic space. The field of the heart also bigger than just the chest, probably, and does interlace and overlap with the head center. And then the lower dantian, I use the Japanese word hara, H-A-R-A, and that's this large base abdominal field. So we have the head, the heart field, and the hara. And our practice is one of opening, pulsing, breathing with these centers. And this practice is very easy and enjoyable and deepens in feeling and direct experience, and certainly in a certain way, a kind of release and energetic breathing. Very simple to do. Let's practice three centers breathing. To begin with, let your hands down, palms facing down, relax the arms. Your hands are right about at the waistline. So if I'm here at the waistline, when I do the opening gesture here, I'd simply turn the hands over like this, not too wide, just nice and easy. And then pulse back with the palms relatively facing down. Keep those wrists and forearms relaxed. So we're doing this kind of pulse in-breath and this kind of pulse exhalation. Practicing with our principles of underdoing range of motion, letting relaxed intention direct and guide this movement. Very fluid. It's going to be different for each of us according to our capacity, our vital lung capacity. But just to enjoy this sense of expansion and natural contraction, the yin-yang nature of breathing. Well then, now that you have the feeling of this gesture, have the feeling of this movement, then lightly and kindly bring the focus of your relaxed intention, relaxed attention, into the field of the hara, and feel the energetic space expand and the energetic space close. Easy the effort. Remember Wu Wei. We're practicing with effortlessness. This is not a structural strength building practice. It's an energy practice. Qigong. The confluence of the breath and the skill and the intention. Good. So feeling the space, breathe, liberated through that unity. We're going to come up now to the field of the heart. And your hands are right about at the solar plexus area, not too high. So you're breathing here. And you just begin this practice by expanding, feeling the in-breath, underdoing range of motion. Stay present in feeling. In-breath. And if you orient to the practice in such a way that this guidance allows you to feel the flow of expansion, the fullness, no hurry, no urgency to go into exhalation. Find your rhythm with this. And even though we're focusing on the field of the heart, lungs, chest, of course the hara field is also breathing right along. Very good. Stay in that. So we have a natural alignment of the earth with the hara, with the heart, and we're just going to come up now to the space of the head. So your hands don't have to come up. They're right about at your eyes. And we're pulsing here because everything pulses. Good. The center of the head is relaxed, so you're more like clearing the space, the energetic space around, in, and through your head. Doesn't require any thought, just that relaxed intention. Clearing energetic space. All right. Just that easy. And as you complete this one, you bring your hands forward, let them settle down just like a gentle rain. So that conscious connection and relaxing, releasing, letting go into your Wu Qi. This movement down is what I called yesterday the Zanshin aspect, the continuity of presence. Doesn't require any great mental strength. You can just relax in there. Feeling the impact, whatever that may be, in the liberation of the energetic fields of the hara, the heart, the head, in their natural alignment with the earth and sky, the space all around us. Okay, very good. Move with ease. Move with ease. That practice called 3 centers breathing. Our next practice that we do in this sequence is called pulsing from the core. And you may recall yesterday I talked about the core being this whole central column that flows through the middle part of the body, maybe even wider than the whole system. We often think of the core in modern terms in terms of the Pilates definition of that, which is more the internal abdominal muscles and so on. That's a wonderful term to use when you're directing your attention in that way. I'm talking about the core here so that we activate in this very useful way a release along the whole length of the spine. And so this also positively impacts brain and nervous system. Now, this practice and all practices that we do with the spine, if you know you have any limitations in range of motion, so on, you always listen to your own body first. Listen to your needs as you have them. Some folks have conditions like scoliosis, or perhaps you've had other conditions in your body, injuries and so on. Easy, easy. Don't even practice into the threshold of any discomfort. This practice, that said, is very easy to do. And here's how we do pulsing from the core. Pulsing from the core happens like this. You bring the backs of your hands toward one another. And in this wrap, you feel that roundness of the back and the kind of concave nature of the front part of the body. Right? Bring the chin in, let the head lift naturally, and that's where you begin. So what we'll do here, let's just go through the action and then we'll continue as a sequence. Then you take a breath in, lift, lightly lift, and roll back, and the palms stay settled down, wrap forward, and you have this elliptical flow. Pressing down. In-breath flows up, and exhale, settling down. Good. In-breath. And ex. So you're wrapping in such a way that the spine, the whole length of the spine, is lubricated by the movement. And the exit points of the nervous system along the length of the spinal column are also lubricated by synovial fluid. But there's no contraction there. There's only opening. Good. You'll notice in doing this practice that you'll probably naturally slow down a bit. Feel that slowing down. All right, very good. Let that settle for just a moment and feel the impact of that practice. It's a little more subtle, yes, I know. Settle in, feel, allow whatever is arising in the phenomena in your body just to be as it is. Present for a moment, passing, changing, as everything does. That's good. All right, we're going to do the complementary action to this front part of pulsing from the core, and that begins like this. You take your hands and just open them out with the palms a little bit forward, spiral out, and feel the front line of the body through the throat, through the chest, all the way down to the base of the spine, just relaxed and open. Very rarely do we human beings have this sense of openness and vulnerability. However, in the safety of your space right now, you can just allow this openness, release, all the way down that front channel, right to the base of your spine, to the field of the perineum. It's just open, relaxed. Breathe with this. Nothing to do. Just breathe. The balancing aspect is to lift with an in-breath, wrap forward, exhale as you settle down, draw the palms back, and we have an ellipse in this direction now. Wrap forward. Exhale, settle. In-breath. That's right. Good. In-breath. And remember that you're practicing at 70% of your capacity and range of motion, allowing you to stay more mindfully present, easily present, skillfully present in the flow of this movement. When you practice like this, the motion moves deeper into the fabric of your body and connecting with energy, connecting with the autonomic nervous system in a way that communicates safety, communicates ease as well, allowing the structures, the natural intelligence to open and move. Let's do one last here. Great, let that settle down. And we stand for just a moment, feeling the way that the practice is present in our body. Remember, as we take these moments from cultivation into mindfulness, that in the space of mindful presence, there is no way that it's supposed to be. Being with your experience genuinely, just as it is the practice. So breathe, feel the integrity of your alignment as you stand, feeling any place that's holding or a little more tension, and see if you can just invite more spaciousness, more openness. Good. We're going to complete with a practice now called integrating breath. We're completing this part of our standing practice with the integrating breath. Very similar to radiant body breathing, but this time the hands are going to be facing downward. Release to the side and let go. And this one helps to move the chi and presence through the system a little bit uniquely different than radiant body breathing. So here it is. We open up just like radiant body breathing, turn the palms up, and then as you exhale, the palms are facing down. As you settle down, your knees are lightly bending, you're settling your hips. Then release downward, let go, begin the cycle again. All right, good. Let's do one last cycle of integrating breath. Find your way into the contemplative poise of Wu Qi. Just settle here for a moment. Nothing needs to happen. Okay, very well done. Nicely done in that practice of our standing Qigong. So we're going to take a few minutes now, come to sit. We'll do a little seated Dao Yin and a little guided meditation. Then we'll have a few moments for our interaction and dialogue. So whether you are sitting on a cushion or on a chair, wherever you are, you just take a moment to feel a natural alignment, your connection with gravity. It's not pulling you down. You want to also feel the complementary opening action, just like a flower to the sun. So the base of your body from the waist downward is settled. is relaxed, no tension in your legs. And we take just a moment to feel this settled presence, which our Chinese sisters and brothers over the centuries have called just quiet sitting. It is a beautiful way of just being. So thoughts may arise, feelings may be present, sensations are here. We're awake, we're alive. We're not following down the pathway of thoughts, trying to weave together and make sense of this or that. Many phenomena often arise in contemplative practice, including memory, emotions, even mood. We're not pushing that away. We're not trying to hold on to it. We're just bringing our attention into simply being for these moments. So take a moment here just to connect with natural alignment, to quietly sit. In this quiet sitting, we can take a moment in the cultivation of the qualities of the breath. So, what are the qualities of the breath? As we sit, and in this phase of our practice, we're doing that natural abdominal breathing. So the waves and the rhythm of the breath will likely slow down. You can still feel a relative fullness and a relative evenness of these pulses of the natural breathing. But right now we're not trying to intervene, we're just allowing these characteristics of the breath to be present here. Among the qualities of the breath that we are gently cultivating through this relaxed intention is a certain softness. So we're not forcing breath. The softness that happens in the flow of natural abdominal breathing here, used in the Buddhist systems, used in the Taoist systems, used in many indigenous systems, and certainly in modern science, we understand the importance of relaxing and allowing the vital capacity of the lungs to naturally open and close. Yes, in athletic activity, there's more. But in sitting, it can still have a natural fullness and now a quality of softness. To be soft and to relax here is not to collapse. So relaxation is never to collapse. Well, maybe sometimes, but not right now. Just want to feel this presence of allowing the breath to breathe itself, and we're connecting with softness. And in that softness, there's a certain fineness, right? We're not struggling with the breath. Breath is really in and out through the nose. The jaw is relaxed, the tongue rests on the upper palate as we were practicing earlier. Now here's a little adjustment that can make a big difference in your contemplative orientation to practice. And that is to lightly bring the chin in. It's not collapsing on the throat, but as you bring it in, you're going to feel the cervical vertebrae naturally open and lift upward, See if you can make that little bit of adjustment while the breath is continuing here. It might seem contrived at first, but when you get the orientation, you'll feel the neck and the head open up. Experienced meditators, those that practice for long periods of time, cultivate this way of orientation to the structure of their sitting practice, and they never sit with their chin out. That increases the curve in the cervical vertebrae and kind of put you to sleep after a while. So you relax the jaw, let the head naturally lift, keep the throat open and easy with the breath, just allowing that flow of soft and fine. And let's include with that quiet. Many of you have practiced yoga over the years and are familiar with Ujjayi breathing, the kind of the sound in the back part of the throat. For our practices, this is more the Buddhist and Taoist tradition, and we're practicing quiet breath, fine breath, soft breath, full, relaxed, natural. Very good. Now we're going to do, as I said, we're going to do a seated Tao Yin practice. From the relative stillness of the meditation form into motion, there's no difference. The continuity of presence is meditation, is that contemplative orientation to practice that helps to bring about unity, integration, wholeness through the practice. This practice, this Tao Yin that we're going to do right now, is called the opening gesture. So you can do it at the beginning, you can do it at the end. But the opening has to do with the opening of the field of the heart, the torso really, and the abdominal field. It's very simple, quite enjoyable to do. And just follow along with me, practice this. We'll do just a few repetitions of opening gesture. In-breath here, with the hands out to the side, and as you exhale towards the heart, then in-breath, and let the hands come up, and the palms are facing one another here. Breathe naturally. Just take a moment to breathe naturally. Now, in this lift, you'll notice that the shape is kind of like a U shape. I'm not straightening my arms into a V. It's soft. So the space between your shoulder blades is relaxed and open. This is a great practice for meditators. Breathe naturally here for a moment. Feel that head lift and chin in. And as you gently open this space, the abdominal space inside the body is opened a little bit more. So now your hands come forward, and we're going to do what's called a containment mudra. Bring your fingers over your thumbs and relax your hands down to your knees. Then with an in-breath, you draw the hands back, that light fist. Elbows are out, lightly press down and exhale. And now breathe naturally here. Easy in and out, natural breath. But this light press down helps to open the central line of the body. Gently stretch the spine. And now just open your hands, release, and return your hands towards your knees. Pretty simple, huh? Helps to open the central part of the body. The last part here is a gentle lengthening of the spine with such a minimal effort. But just the orientation towards that opening helps to strengthen ligaments and tendons and open the energetic field of your body. So let's practice this again. Press. There's your exhale. In-breath as you lift and open, palms facing, breathe naturally here. Good. Excellent. Now hands forward to do that containment. So you bring your fingers over your thumbs. This is very light fist, not clenched at all. Hands to knees, draw back, elbows out to the side, lightly press down here at the hip joint area. Feel that lengthening and opening. Breathe naturally. Still with those beautiful qualities of the breath. And release. Let that settle. Feel this whole system alive, awake, aligned, resilient. We're going to do opening gesture one more time. So in-breath and exhale. In-breath, lift, extend, and feel that openness as you breathe naturally here in this gesture. Hands come forward, fingers over thumbs. Hands down to your knees. Draw back with an in-breath. Elbows out, relax those shoulders. Press down lightly here in the upper thigh next to your hip joints. Breathing naturally. Now let go. This orientation with the Dao Yin, a continuity of meditation. So settle now for just a moment. If you like, you can certainly soften your eyes or close your eyes. Find your way into the relaxed gesture in any form that you are in. Feeling the rhythm, the waves of the breath. And we let go of the cultivation of the breath into natural being, just like the waves of the ocean don't have to try. So it is with the breath. For just a moment now, the invitation is to bring the kindness of your attention to the field of the senses. So even if your eyes are closed, there may be some sense of movement, presence of image in terms of memory or shape, color. You can bring that same ease and kindness of attention to the space of your hearing, your listening, aware of sound that is here, present, perhaps sounds that are close by, far away. Nothing to hold on to. It's very likely that the sense of taste and smell is neutral right now, and the physical sensation, tactile sensations are relaxed. Hopefully, you're feeling a little more alive and vibrant, not so much as amplitude, but just as clarity, as openness. So we rest in this poise of being for just a moment. And you can be aware in that awareness itself of the flow of thoughts, your concerns, thinking, emotions, mood. Just allow that to be held in that same spacious openness of awareness itself. You are not your thoughts, and thoughts are important. You are not your feelings or your sensations or your emotions, yet these are an important and vital part of our human life. Take just a moment now to relax your cognition, relax your thinking, and rest in the space of awareness itself, sometimes called the deep witness. It's this natural unity the unification, the non-duality of subject and object. No, you don't have to figure that out. It's right here. Just let this presence heal and nurture. So we practiced today some foundational Qigong in and with the principles that we've been working with, letting relaxed intention guide the perfect opening and pathway to contemplative practice. Healing practice. There are so many things that are happening kind of simultaneous in the circle of non-sequentialness. Yes, we did a sequence of practices. So today was about establishing a flourishing practice. Taking any of these forms and practicing them for a few minutes with the orientation that we engaged with today, you begin to understand, you begin to connect with, in the direct experiential way, if there is value for this. The value is acknowledged through your own first-person experience. So the only way to get there is to test it out. You know, you want to test out something, you do it. You have to engage with it in order to really find out whether it is what you want, what is valuable. I've found over the decades in working closely with new and experienced meditators, those of us engaged in the design of contemplation, that we have the opportunity through the somatic practices to really enhance the insight and the settling, the transformation that happens on a biological, neurological level is very present. So I hope that you enjoyed what we did today, and if it calls you, if it has some resonance for you, just practice for a few minutes during the day. You can practice for 5 or 10 minutes, but see if you can create the space of this orientation that connects the principles of the practice with the form, understanding that Qigong in this way is the connection of structure and energy, but at the core of that is of course, our principles. Wonderful to have this time with you. And I'm going to say hello to Tia and see if she will help us in our ongoing dialogue. So I'd love to hear from you if you have some observations, maybe some insight, perhaps questions. Technical questions are, of course, always welcome. Hello, Tia.
Thank you very much for guiding us to a place of inner peace and vitality. A question that arose is that in the presence of your creation of calm, we are held into a space that allows us to settle. When we practice on our own, how would you guide an individual who starts chattering and being tempted to break away from the practice?
Yes, I understand that very well, so thank you for that. You see, it's very good to practice in community when you have that opportunity. So practicing as we practice today in the community, even though this is online, there's still energetic connections through the web of life, and where you can feel the support of that. So when you're practicing on your own, the tenor of your engagement may not have the same feeling that it has right now. And that's normal, that's natural. As I've taught retreats over the years, people ask me, well, how can I take this feeling that I have on retreat into my normal daily life? And I say, well, you can't. You can take the resonance of the impact of the practice, and then what you're going to do on your own is going to have a different feeling. So if you do that and don't judge it, but practice sincerely for those few minutes. I was saying, Tia, that 5 or 10 minutes can be a very useful practice, period. So if you work with that, let go of judgment for that, let go of kind of trying to look for or mine the results, and you just bring yourself to it. I often say to my students beginning, do a 21-day cycle of practice. Practice every day, 5-10 minutes. And as you do that practice, maybe a couple of words on a journal can be very helpful. Not some, 20-minute essay on your experience, but just a little bit in there. Stay in the flow of it and don't assess until close to the end. Maybe the last 2 or 3 days, then you can bring assessment. There's always a place for good assessment and for good judgment. That's important. But if your mental judgment says, I'm not doing this right, this stuff is crazy, meditation doesn't work, and those sort of things, it's probably too soon, and you need to settle in, really give the practice an opportunity to develop and to connect with potential values.
Thank you.
Yes, just acknowledging your beautiful presence in speaking about that and the question. So remember the principles. Remember the principles of underdoing your effort, your capacity, and your range of motion. And that may also be after 10 minutes, as you start to do a sequence of practice and you start to feel uncomfortable, You do that little wiggle or whatever you need to do to allow kind of that sense of opening, and then maybe sit down, do some of the practices in the seated form, return to standing when that's appropriate. So your underdoing is also underdoing the amount of time that you're spending actually standing. Does that make sense? Oh, that's great. That's a great insight. And to remember that when you do the practices, as I said, both today and yesterday, that we are genuinely building strength. So the strength is not the strength of the gym, where you're developing the large mobilizing muscles. It's we're spending more in the stillness of the practices and in the gentleness of the flow of the movement. You're developing strength of the ligaments, of the tendons, and yes, the muscles, but also of the nervous system and your capacity for stability, your capacity for stillness, your capacity for motion and flexibility. So all those things are happening. And yes, we have to be patient. We have to be patient in the development of that. But as you engage with it, that's some of the potential results of good practice. Thank you for that. I'll start with that. And I wear all kinds of different colors. I wear purple sometimes. I just happen to be in one of my practice uniforms that happens to be black. Another time I'll wear purple or green. And sometimes I'll wear white too. So there's no particular color in relationship to that. Of course, I'm as a Zen teacher, we often have those very solemn looking robes and so on, and they're often gray or dark. I'm a bit of an iconoclast, and so I practice in all kinds of different colors. And I've spent most of my life, in the dojos and in the kwans in the schools wearing uniforms and so on. So I really don't think of it particularly as a color that I'm trying to forward or something like that. How's that? And the other part of emotional release, I think that's absolutely beautiful. It's important sometimes because nested into the fabric of our bodies are all the signatures of all the experiences that we've had. Maybe yesterday you heard Peter Levine talk about that, and many other teachers and psychologists and so on know that that memory doesn't just live in your mind, in your brain, but lives in the fabric of the body. So doing something where the orientation is openness and clarity, and we're nurturing those qualities for natural presence and empathy and internal safety. Sometimes emotional presence, emotions will open and arise, and there's no harm. That's a release. That's a very positive thing, even if it's sometimes connected with sorrow or traumatic things. You don't have to go fishing for it. You're just, for you, like today, that was a natural expression of the connection with your heart, the sense of safety. And so I celebrate that with you. And I think just continue to allow it. It opens, it expresses, it changes. That's the nature of our being. Thank you very much for your beautiful question. Pleasure to be with all of you today, and look forward to our ongoing connection. Take care.